From Nutrien Ag Solutions, I'm Senior Meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your Canadian Prairie weather story for Monday, October 24th, 2022. We've got a storm system making its way through eastern portions of the prairie. Right now, the temperature pattern spells that out. Warm air lifting northward in advance of the storm, cold air coming around on the back side of that. And on the north side of the storm, we've got some wintry precipitation lifting through portions of southern and eastern Saskatchewan into central and southern portions of Manitoba. Here's what the radar looks like here early on Monday morning. So if you're watching this video later, take an updated look at the radar if you're curious. We've got some light snow here across far western Alberta, but then the bigger storm here where we've got precipitation, a wintry mix, anywhere from rain transitioning over to some freezing rain and sleet, and then snow heaviest as you make your way further to the west and to the north. We'll see this snow begin to expand as it lifts off to the north and to the west, with the heaviest snow kind of falling right in this corridor through southern and eastern portions of Saskatchewan, and then probably western, maybe extreme southwestern portions of Manitoba, lifting into central Manitoba with rain on the warm side of the storm system here. Winnipeg, you'll stay in the rain. Winkler, you'll stay in the rain here through much of the day as well as the storm system makes its way through the area. Now, this is a expansive storm system. We've got the north side here with the wintry precipitation across Saskatchewan, western portions of Manitoba. We've got the rain on the warm side of that storm system, but the cold front and associated precipitation extend all the way south into portions of the central and southern United States, where we've got a severe weather risk here across portions of the southern U.S. near the Gulf Coast. Where I'm recording this video, we'll see some rain, maybe some rumbles of thunder moving in during the later part of the overnight into the day tomorrow. So you folks in the Canadian Prairie, me down here in the American Midwest, and then folks down on the Gulf Coast of the U.S., all being impacted by this big storm system as it continues to slowly lumber across North America. We'll see the infrared satellite picture, and you can really pick out the circulation here. A couple of smaller features making up this bigger storm system, but in general, the jet stream flow doing something like that. The big storm system right here, again, the moisture being pulled up from the Gulf, wrapping around the top of that system, mixing with the cold air. That's how we get the wintry precip here with this storm system. So really a widespread event impacting you all up in Canada, me here in the Midwest, and then folks down across the southern U.S. as well. Now here's the jet stream flow. We've spent, the last few weeks to the last couple of months with ridging across the Canadian Prairie, troughing in the eastern United States, and so we've flipped that pattern here. We've brought some troughing into the western U.S., western Canada, and that's what's allowed us to kind of mix things up and bring some precipitation back into the region after a very dry couple of weeks. Now, as we head through the next 10 days, this is days 1 through 5 up on the left, days 6 through 10 on the right. The pattern, it kind of adjusts slightly. Not a big shift over the next 5 to 10 days, but a slight adjustment here. The fastest jet stream flow is between the ridging here across the Pacific and troughing over Alaska and the Gulf of Alaska. So we've got very strong jet stream flow coming in kind of like this over the next 10 days. Ridging tries to kind of build back in across central Canada toward the Hudson Bay. Again, over the next few days, ridging a little bit further to the east. As we go through days 6 through 10, ridging starts sliding back toward the west. So really fast jet stream flow, storm systems coming around the base of that, depositing a lot of moisture initially here across British Columbia, mountainous regions here in far western Alberta here, really going to be rain shadowed as you make your way east of the prairie over the much of the next week. So what I'm trying to get at here is over the next 7 to 10 days, a lot of the precipitation that we'll see across the prairie is falling right now with the storm system making its way through. I would describe the pattern in days 3 through 10 as maybe unsettled but unorganized. Really unsettled but unfocused here, where we'll have opportunities for light showers, maybe some flurries here. Warmer temperatures really start to return, but maybe a couple opportunities for some flurries over the next few days in areas that are missing out on it here initially. But by and large, here's what the jet stream flow does. Again, here's the trough. This is the storm system right now making its way through, bringing the wintry precipitation to the east. And then we've got all these little disturbances, these little short waves embedded within the flow that are going to be making their way in over the next week or so, but not doing a lot for us here in the prairie. We'll animate this over the next 10 days. I'm just going to let it play first, and then we'll talk about what's really going on here. We'll bring it back. Here's your flow today. As we head through the next 48 hours, we see again, here's another little wave coming through the Pacific Northwest, diving down into the northern plains, not lifting. See another wave come around the base of the trough here. All of these depositing much of their moisture here across the Rockies, across western Canada, across western British Columbia into the Pacific Northwest. This is now as we get into Wednesday. Let's take it a little bit further here. Oops, let's go ahead and jump back. We'll do the same thing here. Get it to about Wednesday. And then here we go into Thursday and Friday. This is another pretty potent wave, bringing some heavy precipitation to coastal and high elevation areas here. And then this one maybe has a better chance of bringing some precipitation into the region. But by and large, there's two trajectories that are being followed here by these disturbances. They're either kind of diving down to the south, or as we get deeper into the week, later into the weekend, early next week, systems kind of start lifting over that building ridge. As the ridging starts to kind of nudge back in here across the Hudson Bay, storms will lift over that ridge. So we never really end up with another direct hit from one of these disturbances over the next 5 to 10 days. And that's why I call it, unsettled. It's not quiet. We're not completely ridged out, but it's really unfocused across the Canadian Prairie. So here's your precipitation forecast. We'll finally get to that. This is the storm lifting into the area right now. This is your Monday morning snapshot. Let's go ahead and take this forward over the next couple of days. We see that disturbance in the east move out as we get into the day on Tuesday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's when we could see a period of just kind of light flurries, maybe some light showers as the pattern kind of readjusts. And what I mean by that is this system leaves, we see the next trough come in, and that's what helps us build ridging back in across the prairie. So here's what happens. We get through Wednesday, Thursday. Now as we get into the weekend, we've got our next major storm system across the Gulf of Alaska, across stronger flow coming in across British Columbia, and that allows us to start to warm up across the prairie. Breezy, warmer, heavy precipitation across the west, and then very low confidence where this is headed in week 2. But you can see the next 10 days, your precipitation forecast from the European on the left. We've got the American GFS on the right, both with very similar stories. Here's your first system lifting through the region over the next couple of days. A lot of this precipitation falling today and tomorrow. Here's the heavy precipitation across British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest. And then as you look right in the middle there, pretty quiet. Opportunities for precipitation, but we're talking about, half a centimeter or less. We're talking about 0.5 here as we go through the next 5 to 10 days. We'll look at the snowfall forecast again over the next 10 days. A lot of this falling right now. We're talking about anywhere maybe 3-6 inches, locally higher amounts across portions of central, eastern, and southeastern Saskatchewan, lifting into western and central portions of Manitoba. Again, rain falling on the warm side here as you make your way through southern and eastern portions of Manitoba. And then over the next 10 days, again, chances for snowflakes to be flying, chances for flurries, but really ineffective as far as accumulating snow goes across the rest of Alberta, western portions of Saskatchewan. Here's your probability of 3 inches or more of total snowfall from the ensembles, European on the left, GFS on the right. Through the next 10 days, again, here's your early system the next couple of days, and then chances for flurries, but likely not looking at much in the way of significant accumulations or even much in the way of any accumulations across the rest of Alberta and western Saskatchewan. Your next week from the GFS, again, here's your system over the next 2 days. Heavy precipitation across British Columbia as we head through the next week or so, and then week 2. I'm not saying we won't see a storm system make its way in here as we get into next week, but right now, no clear picture as to what that looks like as we go through week 2. That would be going in through the first week of November. And then wind gusts over the next few days, topping out right around 50, 60 kilometers per hour. And that's going to be here wrapping around the back side of the storm system, making its way through over the next couple of days. So as we get some snow working its way in there across portions of, southern and eastern Saskatchewan, getting into western Manitoba, combined with those winds, could be problematic here as we head through the day today and then into the day tomorrow. Blowing and drifting snow, some lower visibility, again with maybe 3 to 6 inches of snow, locally higher amounts possible, those winds gusting 50 to maybe 60 kilometers per hour. Again, cooler air wrapping around the backside of that storm system right now, but look what happens as we head deeper into the week. Again, we start to adjust that pattern. Let me go ahead and bring it back to what I would consider here late week into the weekend. This is when the temperature pattern really begins to shift, and then again, that is because We get another intense area of low pressure right across the Gulf of Alaska. A lot of moisture being blasted into British Columbia, but then in advance of that, we'll start to warm up here across the prairie as ridging starts to nudge back in. Here's what that looks like then. Calgary, your high temperature right around 7 for the next 3 days. But then as we get into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, those highs climb back into the double digits. Edmonton, similar look there. Saskatoon, very similar. Friday, Saturday are the warmest days over the next week. Regina, that warm up a little bit delayed. Again, cold air, some snow over the next couple of days. Warming back up, though, as we head into the weekend early next week. And then Winnipeg, again, rain, 14 for the high today. The colder air moves in tomorrow, 3 for the high, 4 on Wednesday, warming back up as we get to late week into the weekend. Have a great week.